Alright everyone, we're going to get started in just a few here. Stream shared in a few places, and then we're going to get to work on fixing a bunch of flexgate repairs. We have 6 to do, and we're going to do these all right now in this stream. So first off, I want to talk a little bit about flexgate because a lot of repair shops, none in particular, just in general, I see questions being asked on the repair groups all the time about flexgate. So flexgate is a backlight only issue. If you have like lines or stripes in the screen, that is not flexgate. That is a totally different issue. Flexgate will result with backlight only. So what you'll see is a totally dark screen. If you shine a light, you might be able to see image. And typically, if you barely open the lid, you will have backlight until you open it fully. So another way is to look at the backlight flex cable. So that is going to be if the battery is closest to you, that will be the small cable all the way to the left. Okay, not the large one. It's going to be the thinner one, right? So it's the thinner one here. This is our data. These two big thick ones, these are both our data cables. These right here are not flex cables. These are just stabilizers. Okay, this thinner one on this side is going to be for our camera. But let's look at our microscope at what we'll see here if we do indeed have a genuine flexgate issue. So flexgate is pretty easy to diagnose. Let me change this refresh right here on my microscope so it's not screen tearing like nuts. So let's go put this down to 30 FPS, and that should help it. Yes. Okay. So flexgate will typically present with a very visible crack, okay, and what you often have to do, let me get my scope dialed in here, what you often have to do to make this visualize, this one's really bad, so we see it to begin with, but if you put a little pressure on the cable like that, you will see it very distinctly. I mean, you could very clearly see that there's a crack in that cable. So this is definitely flexgate, and we are going to fix it. So the first thing we're going to need to do is remove the shield on the cable right here. So there's a few ways that I see repair shops doing it, okay? I only do it this way. We have had 0 returns on this, on our method. This is the method I recommend. This is the method I teach. And this is the way that I think you guys should do it. It's much stronger than other methods. It's stronger. It's infinitively stronger than the wire method, and in my opinion, it is stronger than the fold-over method that I see a lot of other shops doing. So to do it this way, first thing we're going to do is we are going to cut our cable at the bottom of the hinge. Okay, so you can see where the cable is. I'm going to grab a very sharp X-Acto knife right here, and I am going to make a cut right here at the edge of where the hinge is, or where the hinge ends, like that. Alright, so we took about that much cable off. So let me just pull up my chat to another window here. We got a few people in here. Nice to see you guys. I'm gonna put this chat over on my other monitor. Alright, like so. Okay. So, now that that is done, what we're going to do is we want to prep our area to tape it down. Now, you can see here there's a bunch of dust, right? So, I could actually demonstrate that under the scope again. There's a lot of dust here. Okay, you can see all of this dust right here, that is no good. We got to clean that out because we're going to have to tape this cable down, and tape does not like to stick to a dusty, dirty surface. So before you do this job, make sure you have plenty of Q-tips and use some isopropyl alcohol to clean this. So we're just going to chase it. We're going to do one wet, followed and chase it with one dry. So we just want to clean this area up. Let's clean the flex cable and go over with the dry one to take care of any remaining debris. Hit it a little bit on this side too, and we're good to go. We're going to get some Kapton tape after this dries, and we're going to cut a little piece. So also, it's very helpful to have a nice pair of like surgical scissors or similar. It doesn't have to be necessarily surgical scissors, but a nice precise pair of scissors. We're going to get a piece. It doesn't have to. I like to try and make it aligned. It doesn't have to necessarily be flush and aligned horizontally, but I like to try and get it as aligned as I can get it. Just like so, right? So we have our Kapton tape right here. This is just going to kind of keep our cable in place. Try and push down and make sure the tape is stuck down as much as you can get it. That will make it easier once the flux starts getting under it. That looks good. Now what we have to do is scrape away some of this coating here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is get my X-Acto knife and just very gently just want to scrape this coating away. And this is not my preferred X-Acto knife for this. Let me see if I could find my other one that has a little bit of a better tip. I think it's right here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's this one right here. Yeah, so there's a couple different X-Acto knives I work with, and there's one that's particularly better for this job, and that is this one. It's kind of duller. For whatever reason, a duller X-Acto knife works better for this. So I'm going to just clean it off a little bit because it's got some solder paste or something on it. I just spilled acetone all over myself. That's all right. Not harmful. You guys don't distract me. Okay, so I'm going to grab tweezers. You could use tweezers with your finger and hold it, whatever works. And we're just going to want to scrape this off, the coating off. I'm being gentle. We don't want to use pressure here because we will ruin the cable if we use pressure. Just scrape this off. And make sure you have enough. I've seen it where people only do like a little tiny, like a couple millimeters. I like a nice big surface. Now I'm not going to worry about the overlapping side like right here. See how that is? I own the hinge. Alright, that looks pretty good. Honestly, I almost prefer to use my finger for this because I don't want someone to cut themselves and blame me for it. So I'm showing you with tweezers. Because the tweezers tend to just, mess up the cable a little bit if you push too hard. So anyway, next step, we are going to follow this with some flux. I'm going to set my iron at around 640 degrees. I'm using a Hakko BC50 tip. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some flux. For this, I find any flux that does not turn black quickly is better for the job. In this case, I'm using Amtech NC559 V3. So it seems to be better than V2 and other fluxes for, staying active and not turning dark or brown. Because this job you really want to be able to see what you're doing through this entire process. So we're going to get some solder. And the heat and solder and flux is going to help remove the remaining coating of adhesive that is on this cable. So we just want to use gentle pressure and kind of just rubber iron across here until we have a nice layer of solder on all of, just like so. We have no bridges. They all look good, right? And I'm going to put a nice big blob of solder there and a nice big blob of solder here. So it should look like that, okay? Now, what we're going to do, we want to clean up our flux. So we're going to clean up our flux right here. Like so. We're going to set this aside, and we're going to grab our new cable. So you can either pull this cable off of another screen, or you can pull it from for a new cable. You'll get these cables they sell that have a camera and a backlight cable. How many of these have you done? I've done many more than I can count. It's like one of those questions, I'll get that from walk-in customers. Well, how many MacBooks have you worked on? That's like asking a question like, how many times have you taken a breath? Okay, it's much more than I could count. So what we're going to do is we have our cable here. We have our new cable. Okay, right here. It's in focus. We have our old cable. So what I like to do is lay them out. Now, you have to remember, the whole design flaw of this is that the cable was designed by Apple to be too short, okay? I don't like the MacBook Air T-Con cables because they're like flimsier and they do not line up with MacBook Pro cables very well. You could still make it work, but it makes it a little bit harder. So what we're going to do, we want to make this a little bit longer. I'm going to line them up, right? We want to make this a little bit longer than our original cable. So I'm going to go about this much right here, okay? So a few millimeters thick, and some of this is going to overlap. So we're not going to worry about that. We just want to get it marked a little bit. Okay, that's that. So we can discard this. We can discard this. We have to prepare this. Now, these aftermarket cables, the sticker out of here, I don't like this here. These aftermarket cables tend to be a little bit harder to work with than the OEM cables. So what we are going to do is we are going to scrape our work area gently, okay? I'm using like firm pressure across the entire cable. And I want to disturb the whole purpose of this is I want to disturb the coating that's on it. Do these ever come back? With my method, absolutely not. We have not had a single return. If you use other methods seen in the repair community, then they may come back. But these do not come back if you do it this way. So our goal is to kind of disturb this coating. Sometimes it helps to, if it was an OEM cable, this would be no problem. It helps to get it from the side a little bit too. But what I want to do is kind of disturb it enough where we can get some acetone in here. And once the cable is kind of perforated a bit, we can get some acetone on this, and it's going to make our life a lot easier. So now that with acetone on it, you can see that we have copper showing or brass showing already. Right, like so. And we just got to keep working at this until the entire cable is exposed. What you find is once you have some of the cable exposed, then it'll be easier. The MS cables are not necessarily brittle. It's just the fact that the coating on the cable is a little bit different than the OEM. But this cable is not brittle at all. So a little more acetone in here. Get a syringe, would be a little bit better maybe. Where is my precision syringe? This one will work. Make sure this does not have any. Nope, this has conformal coating in it. Oh well, I'll just put another drop like this, the dropper on it. Can see how we're starting to see our lines here. Don't be afraid to use more acetone. It makes your life easier. Anytime you see it drying up, just put some more on it. Now that should be decent. Let's clean this cable off just with a paper towel. Clean my work surface. And we're ready to go. So now, you scratching the exposed lines too, or only what's not showing? I'm pretty much using the cable flat across it. I mean the knife flat across it and just working it back and forth. So we need some more flux on this, and we are going to, and my flux, here it is. I'm hiding under the paper towel, of course. A little bit of flux. Same thing, we're just taking the rest of the coating that's on here with our iron off and making sure we have solder on all these pads, all these traces, I should say. Big blobs on both sides of these. There's this one trace that's being a little stubborn. It fanned out a little bit. That's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Acetone is a solvent, and that's why we use it to take off the coating that's on this cable. There we go. Okay. Clean our flux up again. Clean it off of the cable. I don't want too much flux on this cable. Okay, there's our finished product. Now what we're going to do is grab our screen again. And look, get it lined up at our microscope. Like so. And you can either do it over or under, it doesn't really matter. So the main thing here, and this is the mistake I see people doing. A lot of people, when I see shops do this, what they'll do is they'll align it like this and they'll run jumpers across. You don't want to do that. You want the cable to overlap with this other cable, okay? So we're going to put flux down, and we are going to make sure that this is overlapping. Right, so overlapping. Get it tacked down on one side. Doesn't have to be perfectly aligned. We can adjust it more, but it should be close. So now this side, we're also going to do that, right? Now we can go back to this side. Get that down there, and it actually wasn't on there on the other side. But that's down. Now this side is down. That is aligned pretty darn well. Okay, that's the main thing. We want it to be aligned. We want nice, strong solder joints on the backlight. On the ground pads, I mean. Okay, so this one I want it to be a little bit stronger. There we go. That is beautiful. That is perfect. So now, once we have it looking like this, what we're going to do is run a larger 37 gauge, I think this is 37 gauge wire, on our backlight line. Okay, so our backlight line is going to be the second thickest trace. We have 2 grounds, and then we have our backlight. Then we have our return lines, and then another thinner ground. So what we're going to do let's zoom in here. Okay. Still on the BC50. Gonna get that cable tacked down on one side, and then we're going to want to get it tacked down on the other side. A little out of focus. Sometimes it's a little bit of a pain to get the enamel coating off. I like to do it beforehand. But once it's off in one section, it usually will go pretty easy on the rest of the cable. Come on. Okay, it's tacked down there. Now I'm going to go for some more solder on this. Okay, like so, just like that. Looks like we might have a tiny bridge here. It's hard to tell. No, we do not have a bridge. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is put even more solder on this. We want it to be a nice thick trace. Thicker the better, honestly, with this. Got a little bridge. We'll take care of that. Just like so. And that looks good. We are done with our backlight line. Now for our LED returns. So we're going to pull this wire off. We're going to be gentle. We're going to use a circular motion. Like so. That is done. Now we're going to switch. We're going to switch our iron tip. We're going to go to a T15 ILS, which is a very small pointy tip. So T15 ILS, it's like a needle tip. And we're going to set that at 640. And what we're going to do is now we're going to put a little bit more solder on our return lines and make sure there's plenty of solder on these guys. Now, for the next part, okay, I always combine the LED return lines. It will not cause an issue if done properly. You see people on Facebook saying, oh, it's not good, the software, if Apple releases a software update, it's going to cause issues. No. This is purely a hardware aspect. No amount of software is going to be able to tell if a circuit is completed via one way or another, as long as the circuit is completed. So we're not going to worry about that. We are going to combine all the LED return lines so it adds redundancy. If we lose one, we're still okay. If we lose two, we're still okay. If we lose three, we're still okay. Okay, this is the more reliable and the better way to do it. If you want to run individual wires across each one, by all means, go ahead and do it. I don't do it, and out of hundreds and hundreds of units, I've never had an issue doing it this way. So now we're switching to the smaller tip, and we're switching to even smaller wire. This is 0.02 millimeter wire. It's a little bit thinner than a human hair. So now we are going to tack this just like so. Okay, it's tacked down. We are going to grab our tweezers. Tack it down on the other side, like so. And then follow it up. And what we're going to do, we're going to loop it around like this, and then follow down our next trace. Same thing here, loop it back up. Like so, back down. Looks like our wire is a little bit too short, so, or is it? No, we're good. Thought it was the end of it right there, but it's not. There we go. And for our last one, I want to get this stuck. It's in a little hook on my tweezers. Okay. Follow this. Down our last trace. Okay. Now we're done with this step. Now, if you look at this, you might be thinking, well, there's not a lot of solder on some of those pads. You're absolutely correct. So now we are going to do the last step in the soldering aspect that is going to not only make the cable even more redundant, but it's also going to make it stronger as well. So we're just going to get our wire out of here. And this is a little bit too long. It's okay. We're just going to park him right here. Not going to cause any issues being right there. So now what we're going to do, we're going to make little solder blobs between our loops, okay? One here. I try and do it a little bit lower. I don't want it right at the edge, okay? It's okay if it is, but it's better to be a little bit lower. So, yeah, I want to try and move these guys so they're not quite at the edge. I like them closest to the middle. And we're just going to make little solder bridges between these. This is going to add structural support to the cable, and it's going to provide electrical support as well if one of the LED return lines do end up breaking. So I don't like this right here. There, that should be good now. That's perfect. This one's still there. That's better. This one I'm going to move it down a little bit. That should be good. I don't like it at the top of the loop because we can actually won't be able to see if it's soldered right. So I want to try and drag that down as much as I can. Sometimes you won't be able to. It's not that big of a deal. If you can't, just add a little bit of flux. Galvani is here. There, okay. So yeah, the whole reason why I don't want it at the tip of it is we can't tell if our cable is soldered down right there. That's all. See how it's kind of off to the side a little bit? That's what I don't want. Drag that back over. Yeah, this one right here is not the prettiest, honestly. But there. That's good. It's soldered well. We're good to go. I'm going to bridge it again. Right over here, just for a little more structural support. Great. Right here. There we go. There. That is good. And let's do another one right here, if we can. There, beautiful. All right, now we're done. Let's clean this up. Acetone, both sides of the cable. Then we're going to put some acrylic conformal coating on it. We do not use the UV coating anymore. Use one coating of acrylic, sometimes two. That's all it needs. I want to get the cable as clean as we can get it. So clean all of this up very, very thoroughly. Want it to be 100% flux free. Remove our tape now. Clean any residual flux that made it down. Like so. Back of the cable. Don't forget the back of the cable. And the hinge right here. Acetone is safe right there. Don't worry about it. Okay, so yeah, so I did not address that. The third trace from the right. So the third trace from the right that I did not use, that I did not run a wire to, that is the ground. That is one of the grounds. Now we already have 2 grounds on this, so this does not matter. So this one right here that does not have any wires going to it, that is ground. You do not need a wire for that. We already have 2 big thick grounds. It doesn't matter. And it does not matter one bit. So our flux is all cleaned up. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get our acrylic conformal coating. This is MG Chemicals. Let's see, I'll show you on overhead. All right, this is MG Chemicals 419D acrylic conformal coating. Highly recommended. It's good stuff. In my opinion, it is superior over the UV coating. It's less brittle. It's flexible. It's easy to apply. It's easily cleanable. You just need a little tiny dab of it. What I like to use is a spudger. Let me grab and find where I put my spudger. Right here. When I use the pointy end, I just dip it in the coating, and then we will put it on our cable, right? So it's clear. And oftentimes one coating is plenty. What I actually like to do is just run it along the entire length of the cable too, just to add a little bit of durability. Want to make sure that all of the electrical surfaces on the cable are completely coated. Looks like they are. So now we just wait and let it dry. So that's all there is to it. I would let this dry for at least 5 to 10 minutes because it's going to still be tacky. So what I can do to speed this up just for the sake of the video, I'm going to show you this one works. Then in the next ones I'll probably test after. But what we're going to do is just really easy and quickly set our hot air to 100 degrees Celsius. And just help it out a little bit from far away. And it dries relatively quickly, especially if you have air on it or anything like that. I don't recommend putting hot air on it necessarily. Just a little, little breeze on it from the hot air from far away doesn't help, or doesn't hurt though. Okay. And now it should be, it's a little bit tacky, but it's not bad. So we're going to plug this in, like so. Alright, I'm just going to check our camera cable. Camera cable looks to be in good condition. I don't know why it doesn't happen to the camera side of the cable. It's really weird how it only happens to one side like that, especially when it's the same length of cable and everything. Put our screws back in. I'm going to grab a board to test this. Back over to overhead. Like so. Alright. Clean up this work area a little bit. Go grab a board to test this with. The cable, I have not seen this cable become brittle, so I do not worry about that, but what do I know? I've only done several hundred of them. The original cable becomes brittle because it's overstressed. But when the cable is longer, it does not really flex much, and it only slides back and forth using this method. The original point of failure is going to be the original point of failure is at that little bend, and using this method, it does not that part of the cable does not bend at all. So this board may or may not work. We will see. Yes, it's an A1708 board. That does not matter. It will work for testing. This might be a functional board. Yep, we have backlight. It's probably pretty hard to see, but you'll wait until we have a question mark folder right here. Come on, give us a question mark folder. I'm going to go grab another board while we wait for this. Sometimes they're slow to post and show an image. Alright, let's grab a different board. Would suck to do all that, then find out the board actually has the screen has an image issue as well. No backlight yet on this one. Gotta love going through boards to see which board actually works normally. Yeah, so this board, those boards don't work. The one in the white box works. Okay. Well, Caleb, the first one I tried actually is probably going to be fixable too, as well as this, so. Need a screen cable. Alright, we have booting current, we have backlight, and hopefully we're going to get a flashing question mark folder. Loose Henry says, hey, one of these might be mine. I doubt it. These are part of a bulk order, and unless your name starts with the letter E and you sent a big box of them, then they are not yours. Still no flashing question mark. I wonder if this display has a image issue in addition to a flexgate issue. That would be rare because usually image issues present, once you have backlight you will have image as well. So that's quite strange. But we'll put an SSD in it to see. I can't use a manual screwdriver anymore. Carpal tunnel has taken its course. I have this right here that I use sometimes. Alright, backlight. Huh, okay. Very interesting. Alright, so this display looks like it might have flexgate and another issue, or we're still getting trolled by a bad board. Let me see what I can dig up as far as boards go, and go from there. Because I kind of have a feeling we're getting trolled one way or another. Let me see what we have. Actually, let's try that board's behavior on a brand new display. That will rule it out. Just open a new display here. Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually. Okay, so here's a brand new display. Brand new. And we're going to grab our board and we're going to try again. If we get the same results, then we know we're just being trolled. I did not swap T-Con. I do not plan on swapping T-Con. That's a pain. Alright, I have backlight. It's really hard to tell with this on here. Oh, I have nothing. Alright. I'm gonna move on to the next one. I have a feeling we're being trolled, and that is a pretty rare presentation. So we're gonna set that aside. We're gonna move on to the next display and see if we get anything different. Okay. So this one I'm gonna put in a different pile for now. And on to our next one. For the heck of it, I'm going to plug in this display again. Or plug in this display to the board. Let's see what we get. Really like to know what we're being trolled by here, if we are being trolled, or what's going on. So this display does have flexgate in the same. I'm not going to demonstrate the diagnosis each time, but does have flexgate. Okay, we have backlight. If I move my finger off the cable, we will lose backlight instantly. Okay, so we do have image. And then if we just nudge our cable, or bend it like if we were going to open the screen, it goes off. Okay, so this one is a genuine flexgate. So we do know our board is fine. We're getting trolled by that other display, which may have a T-con issue. It happens. Yeah, I'm not gonna change the T-con yet. I can change the T-con. It's a pain. I don't want to change the T-con, but we may end up changing the T-con on that one later. Okay. There we go. There's that. So again, I'm just going to line the cable as a little guide of where I need to cut. We're going to align it and cut about this far. It doesn't have to be exactly. You're not going to kill anything, or it's not going to be, you know, you don't want it too short. That's the main thing. So, same thing. This time I'm going to go a little faster though, because I'm not trying to demonstrate something. And the rest of that coating I think the iron is going to take care of. Cable is getting a little thin, so I don't want to damage it any further, so I guess we will do this as the underlying side. So the overlying side, like we did in the last one, not a problem. Doesn't really matter, you can go either way, as I said before. Time for new blade? Nope, that blade is exactly the way I want it. I do not want a sharp blade because the sharp blade is going to puncture the cable. The dull blade allows me to scratch the cable without puncturing it. So no, it's perfect the way it is. Come on, T-Con, stay over here. Don't make me tape you. Oh, I said we were going to go under, right? Yeah. Perfectly aligned. Now for this side. Beautiful. I'm going to come back over here. Push this side down. Make sure this side's flush again. Looks really good. There we go. So now what we're going to do, our backlight line. Just want to get some solder on it mainly. I don't totally like the fact that there's that little overlap of the coating on it, but it'll be all right. It's not going to cause us. It's not going to cause any harm. Okay. I do not recommend a sharp blade for this, for scraping the coating off. And if you do a lot, you'll know why. But trial and error. Try a sharp, try a dull one. You let me know. And that is AT&T's gigabit fiber experience for you. Back to the small tip, ILS. I do want to fix this right here. Let's see if I can even do this with this tip. Might not be good enough. Yeah, I'm going to want my big one again after. It's alright, I'll take care of that after. Anyway, now for our return lines. Make sure they're tinned up nice and good. There we go. Can someone confirm that the stream is actually live still in chat? It would be greatly appreciative. Oops. Are all these customer repairs? Of course they are. I wouldn't be fixing it if it was not a customer repair. Really not really sure why someone would ask that if it wasn't a customer repair. I mean, I wish I had time to just mess around with stuff, but I unfortunately don't. So, yeah, it's a customer repair. So I'm going to break free my wire right here. And then we're going to bridge our LED return lines again. I'm going to lower my temperature. I'm going to go down to 540 actually with the ILS tip. I want to see how it's going to react. Beautiful. Even better. Okay, so 540 is better. Yeah, I like the behavior of the iron on 540 better than 640 for this. And again, to anyone that's just coming in, it's a good idea to bridge these for structural support. That's why I put these little blobs right here. And I'll explain it one more time. I know people on the Facebook groups will say that if Apple introduces a software update, it might not work because you bridge LED return lines. That is not true. The circuit, and it's not going to matter as long as the circuit is completed. And bridging the return lines, in my opinion, adds a lot of durability that you otherwise would not get. So that looks good. That looks nice and strong. Don't totally like that. Try and move this bridge. That should be good. Put another one right here if I can. Yep, good to go. Another one here, sure. There. Plenty of little bridges for strength. And then I have to fix, that's right. Looks good. Done deal, let's clean up and then we're done with this one. Clean up the flux from back here. And on the hinge again. And have a look. All looks good there. Okay. Now we'll put a drop of conformal coating on this and we're done. Again, I followed it up on the entire length of the cable just for a little bit more strength. This coating is very flexible. This is why we prefer it over the UV. The UV is not flexible. The UV is brittle when cured, and this stuff is very flexible. So this will add to the strength and overall durability of the cable. Just going to let that dry for a second, and then we're going to move on to our next one after testing it. Use a little hot air at 100 again. Again, you don't have to do this using this type of conformal coating. I probably wouldn't even recommend it, but I'm just going to do it in the sake of time. I'm pretty far away, hitting it with 100 degrees Celsius just to kind of heat the coating up a little bit, and it'll accelerate the drying process. Okay. Still tacky. I'm going to give it another minute. And you could see with this coating, I could bend the cable very easily, and the coating just bends with it. It makes the cable a lot stronger, and it's you know, I think I can just test it. There we go. And there's a little coating down here where I don't really want it, so I want to clean that up. Another thing about this coating, it's very easily cleanable with just a little isopropyl. Yeah. Don't need it down here. I don't want it to be sticky and cause like hinge creaking or anything like that. We can just clean that up. I'm good to go. Okay. I think we're dry. Nope, not yet. Yeah, I just touched that, so I gotta recode it now. Anyway, back over to overhead. It's like so. I'm going to clean up a little bit while this is booting. Should give us a nice flashing question mark folder if all is well. While that's going on, I'm going to finish testing on this A1708 over here. Keyboard on this is good. Keyboard backlight is good. Camera is good. This GPU stress test was good. Let's go for audio. Mic is good. Right speaker is good. Left speaker is good. And shared is good. Battery good. Sleep wake, put it to sleep. That's one thing you guys should really be checking when testing a sleep wake. You'd be surprised of how many issues will present that way, where they won't go to sleep or they will crash and sleep, etc. Okay, you can see that as a flashing question mark folder, so this one is good. And we're on to the next. I do want to put a little bit more conformal coating on the cable because when I disturbed it, I did disturb the coating a little bit. So I do have a phone call. I'll be right back. Little drop of conformal coating. Where's my spudger? There we go. Okay. Now this is going to go in the pile of completed stuff. That one is done and tested. Let's do another one. Clean my mat up a little bit. Alright, so this is another one, cracked flex cable, very clearly flexgate. I'm going to I do have to put that shield back on the other one once the conformal coating is dry. Okay. Okay. Clean our surface over here again so we can tape it. What's that? Microscope. Good to go. All right, now for our prep cable, with our new cable that we need to prep. Marked it. I'm just going to use my scissors to finish it off. There we go. Significantly longer than the original. As you see, about 1 centimeter. That's all you need. I'm Christian. Anel, go away or you're gonna get banned. I don't really like how the coating, it just doesn't want to come off right here, but I need it to be more than this. So I'm using a really sharp angle on it. Trying to almost peel it. Again, the aftermarket flex cables are really, I mean, they're not necessarily bad quality, it's just that the coating is really hard to take off on them sometimes. It's alright. It's not a problem. Oops. Out of view. These little strands are annoying. I want to get these out of here. There we go. Fiberglass pencils are a way to ruin your hands. Not ruin your hands literally, but the fiberglass will get stuck in your hands, and that will be a very uncomfortable and annoying experience for you. So I don't recommend using a fiberglass pen for that reason. A little bit of flux. Go, set that aside, grab our display. Anel, I don't fold cables over, you should know that. Given the fact that I did teach you guys how to do this particular repair. Okay. Tack down, aligned. Tack down on this side. A little more solder, a little more flux. Come on. That is beautiful. All right, let's prepare our backlight wire. Scrape some of this coating off of it. I just did overlap the cable. That's how you're supposed to do it now. If you don't overlap the cable, it won't be strong enough and it'll break within weeks. Okay. Here we go. Tacked on one side. Little bridge, not a big deal. Come on. That's good to go. Beautiful and clean. Back to our small ILS tip. So we have our ILS tip now at 540. Good, and they already are to begin with. Let's make sure we have a little bit more. Looks pretty darn good. Grab our small wire now. Again, this wire is just slightly smaller than a human hair, maybe just right around the size. That's good. And now that was beautiful. Look at that. Try to do that again right here. Now that was unique. That was one of a kind. I do want to make sure it's tacked down a little bit better here. Good to go. Like the look of that joint one bit. That should be good. Alright, let's clean up and coat. That's another one down. This scope does not want it. Seems like it keeps going out of focus, and I just spilled acetone everywhere on my desk. That's lovely. Give me 1 second. Let me clean this up, since I just spilled a ton of acetone everywhere. Good thing I didn't get any in the display. On the plus side, now there's plenty on my desk that I could just take that and clean the cable with. On the plus side, that should have cleaned up all the flux that was on my desk. And also probably took off the coating on my workbench, but whatever, I don't care about that. Okay. Continuing. Oh wow, it's dark outside. I had no idea. Okay, continuing on. Doing what we were doing before the massive acetone spill all over my desk. Okay, now we're gonna grab our conformal coating. This is leaded solder. This is 6337. No, we do not use, we do have some lead-free solder for medical devices if they require it, but yeah, for the most part we only use leaded here. Thing looks good there. I'm going to test it first, then coat, because the coating takes a while to dry, and I know people just don't want to watch that, so we're going to test this. Okay, while you're doing this, I'm going to go check on my A1708 that's in testing. While this is booting, hopefully. And hopefully we get a nice, good backlight and image. This unit is good to go. 6366. Okay, what is going on here? We have a USB amp meter bug. There we go. I think I need to throw this amp meter away. There we go. Okay, what is going on with you? Finish sending this invoice, and then let's have a look. Okay. Back to, okay, this needs to go in the trash. Let's just use straight to the board. This is acting more like something's wrong with this board now. It does not surprise me. Okay. Oh no, I have backlight. I have backlight. It's hard to see. These screen protectors always make backlight hard to see. You probably can't see it even now, but I can. It's dim. So we'll just wait for that nice question mark folder. What are you doing while it's booting? Definitely, or had backlight. Let's see. I won't necessarily take this off. Let's try on this other port. Okay, while it's booting again, still think we're getting trolled by that board there. Got another one lined up right here. Once this one decides, let us know if it's working or not. Okay. No, the board is not on. Okay. Grab another board. Okay. I wanted to kind of peel the screen protector up to see if the screen is actually lit up. It's hard to tell. Alright, yeah, this board is showing 0.95 volts on V-core, which typically means it's not posting. So this board is not posting. Lovely. Okay, this board does, yes, I do have backlight on this board. Now let's see if we get image. Really hard to tell. Alright, I'm going to take this anti-glare thing off because I really can't tell if it has backlight or not. If I can get it off, there we go. There. Now I can probably actually see when it lights up. Okay, 944, vCore not posting yet. 063, it did post. At this point I should get backlight. I did get backlight. But do I have image? 063 still. Should expect image by now. But give it a second because the CPU is probably throttled. The CPU is throttled. There we go. That's a nice little flashing question mark folder. This one is good to go. So now we conformal code it, and it goes in the finished pile. And I'm debating if I want to do more or go home. I have 3 more to do. I want to circle back around to that first one that wasn't giving us any image. There we go. Alright, this one is going to... And I'm going to put all these shields back on for all of these when I do the final testing on them. But this one's good to go. And on to the next. Well, let's go on to the first one, I should say. This was the first one we did. Let's see. use vCore again as a teller when we should get backlight. There we go. Already have it, 0.63. Just wait for that question mark. I mean, the fact of the matter is when we have backlight like this, it means our CPU is talking to the screen. We do have GPU communication to the screen. So it is a bit odd that we wouldn't get a flashing question mark or anything. But I'm just going to give it its time. Let it take its time. Let me see if there's any signs of a panel crack. None that I see. Minor backlight bleed. No signs of a panel crack. Give it another minute or so. I'm just going to let it be for a minute. Screen definitely has something else going on. Probably will change the T-con on that. Brian, it's MG Chemicals 419D. All right, let's do our next one. Do I want to do another one? Or do I want to go home? I don't know. Another one or... You guys help me decide. Does anyone want to see another one? Or should I go home? Go home and get some food. Maybe. I quit MacBooks, do Rossman, sold my soul to the devil, educational videos, too much paint stripper reworks. Yes, I agree. There are too many people that take paint strippers to boards that do not know what they're doing in this industry. It greatly bothers me. Just the sheer amount of sheer incompetence that I see on a daily basis from other repair shops is just astonishing. It really is. I don't know how a lot of these places run businesses. I don't know how they stay in business with some of the stuff that you'll see. It's just quite astonishing. Okay. So I'm going to start checking these before. I'm going to plug this in, make sure it gives us image as well. This one's pretty bad, so I don't know if we will get even backlight from it. I don't blame the other shops. Not everyone gets to please burr you at any time. Yeah. Alright, well, we did a bunch. I do kind of want to go and get 30 minutes, then come back to work. So this should be posting. I have 54 volts on backlight. That means we're total open circuit. Let's see if I can make out a flashing question mark. I do have a flashing question mark. Okay. So, let's see. Yeah, I think we're going to take a pause on this and go get some food. And then come back to this. So, I'm going to go ahead and do that. But thank you guys for watching. And I think that's it for the stream. So, thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next stream. We should have some uploads coming soon. But, yeah, should be soon. But I will see you.